An entitled Karen demands that I give the final exam answers to her child just so he can pass my class. But when I tell her no, she threatens to spread false rumors about me, as well as to try and get me kicked out of college. And I've honestly never been more blown away by an entitled Karen's actions in my life. Here's what happened. So for a bit of context, I'm soon graduating college, but where I live, we need to complete what is referred to as social service hours. And you basically work in a program related to your major. And for mine, I was helping in a program to teach English for free to students. Since this program was free and technically we weren't actually grading the students, many sometimes wouldn't even pay attention, especially since classes were online. I tried making my class as entertaining as I could. It was small and it only had 12 students. Now mind you, I was just one of the college students that were participating in this program as teachers. This program was not created by my college, and we were given all teaching materials, but the last test was actually going to be in person with the people who organized the program in the first place. The surprise for the students came when they were told for the last test, in order to get the diploma that proved they completed the English program, they were going to be graded and they needed at least 50 out of the 100 students to pass. So I informed the students, and for the most part, most of the teenagers from 15 to 17 years old were doing fine. We had been working together for about 16 weeks by now, but out of my class of 12, there was this student we had some difficulties with, and we'll just call him Mike for the sake of the story. Mike is not his real name. Now, he is not a bad kid, but since the beginning, Mike made it clear that he didn't want to learn English. He wanted to learn French. And later on, after what happened with his mother, I even learned that at one point he almost got a scholarship to study in a school that teaches French as a second language. But his mom sent him to a smaller school that is well known for teaching English, but he was struggling, so that's why he was in this class. After the announcement that the last test was going to be graded, I told the class that if they would like, we could do some extra sessions. Now, this was something extra that I offered, not from the program at all, mostly because I had the free time and the fact that they were going to be graded for the program. Out of the 12 students, 11 joined the extra classes, and I guess you might have an idea about who did not join us. But now we were 2 weeks away from the final test when I first started getting contacted by Mike's mother, who is the Karen of this story. Now, at first she seemed like a concerned mother, but her mask soon slipped away, and by now the extra classes I had given had finally stopped because I no longer had the extra time because of my job. I told her as such, and she absolutely went nuts, saying how I needed to find the time and teach her son. And she was screaming all of this at me over the phone. And yes, since the classes were online, the parents had my phone number because we communicated with them through WhatsApp. Now, I really tried to be reasonable and said that if they could come up with the topics that he needed help with, I will try to help him. And also with the condition that there is a parent present. Because you know what? I didn't want any misunderstandings or someone thinking that we didn't study. Fast forward to the extra classes, and Mike would connect and his aunt was always in the background. But he was trying to fit almost 16 weeks worth of lessons in less than 2 weeks. By the time it was 1 week before the exam is right when I started receiving the calls from the entitled Karen. I couldn't answer most of them because I was working, but apparently that ticked her off even more because she started leaving me messages accusing me of ignoring her. And in the end, in the space of a day, she called me 24 times while I was on my job. After I finished my shift, I called her back because I thought something bad had happened. But nope, instead she just started yelling at me. Then she started saying that I was a bad teacher, and then she demanded that I just share the final test answers because Mike needed to have that diploma. Now, I tried to tell her that I didn't have the test results, and even if I did, obviously I couldn't just share them. But it's right then that Karen went crazier and started saying how she was going to make sure I got expelled from college because I was ruining her son's future. She also started saying how she was going to tell everyone that I was asking her son for extra classes just so I could try and spend time with him. But thankfully, my college director and the teacher in charge of connecting us with the people from the project knew about these extra classes and even encouraged us to give them if we had free time. In the end, I hung up on her, but I couldn't block her just yet because any news that we got, we had to share that with the parents, and that was done through text messaging. In the end, I took a screenshot of her threats and sent them to my teacher in charge and the person from the program I communicated with. This entitled Karen was given a stern talking to and was told that the day of the exam, she was not allowed to take her son. Someone else had to take him to the place of the exam, and also her son son was going to get observed more often just to ensure that he wasn't cheating. I then had to endure the Karen bothering me for the rest of the week because she still was the main contact for Mike even after everything that went down. So I was so happy to finally block her after giving the last instructions for the day that they were having the exam, which basically they were divided into groups and a teacher from the program took care of them from there. Later on, I found out from this teacher that took care of my former students that the Karen did try to spread rumors that I was a bad teacher and a creep. But since the other students did quite well in my classes, none of the other parents complained and actually were on my side. She also apparently tried to get in contact with my college to complain, but that was also completely shot down. And I honestly feel so sorry for Mike because his mom is absolutely an entitled Karen. Yeah, Mike's mom sounds really crazy. First of all, he didn't even want to learn English in the first place. Like, this kid clearly has a passion for the French language and he wanted to go to a school specifically for that, but his mom got in the way and destroyed that aspiration of his. Which honestly, with all things considered, I'm not surprised. Like, she would rather have her son cheat to get a good grade instead of learning the material and getting better at English. So honestly, good for you for putting up with this in a professional way, because I think if somebody tried to ruin my college career, as well as come up with awful false accusations, I do not think I would have reacted in a professional manner. But in the end, you did exactly what you needed to do, despite this Karen acting incredibly insane. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for playing chess while my wife was in labor, about to give birth to our first son? Here's what happened. So my wife gave birth to our first son recently, and I would like to start by saying that I was very excited to have a baby, and I'm truly looking forward to being a father. My wife did not have any health complications or a particularly difficult birth, except for an ultra-long labor that took about 27 hours in total. She slept through a lot of it in the beginning, but as it got progressively worse, she started to get more uncomfortable. Since we had been in the room for a long time, I had started to get antsy. We both played on the Nintendo in the beginning, but she didn't want to anymore as the labor progressed. About 23 hours in, I started to play online chess on my phone as I held her hand through contractions. She was fine with it at first, but then she snapped at me and told me to put my phone away, so I did just that. Then she told me off for bouncing my leg and then drumming my fingers on the bed. I told her to stop yelling at me and to tell me exactly what she wanted me to do, which was apparently the wrong thing to say because she told me to leave and send her father in instead. Now this really ticked me off, and I told her that I was not going to miss the birth of my child. She said that she would call me back when it was time, but I really needed to leave as I was getting on her last nerve. So I went out and I went to where her parents were waiting and I told her dad to go in. Now I was pretty upset because I wanted to be there to take care of her. My mother tried to make me feel better, saying that it was a vulnerable time and different women needed different things. We were called in when she was finally giving birth, and I got the baby while her parents comforted her just like we planned. Everything seemed okay again until her parents left and she asked if I was going to apologize. I told her that I didn't think I needed to and that if anyone owed me an apology, it was her. Ever since then, she has been very annoyed, and she has also not been properly talking to me. So honestly, am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? Honestly, I think the way you were acting was completely out of line. Your wife is giving birth. This isn't her going to the doctor for a checkup. She's about to give birth to your first son, and here you are playing online chess on your phone. Like, seriously, put the phone down and pay attention to your wife. This is not the time to be playing games all because you're bored and you feel anxious. You need to grow up and get your head in the game and realize what's about to happen. Like, maybe you don't know how dangerous giving birth is, but guess what? Giving birth to a child is really dangerous. A lot of things can go wrong, and this is really stressful on her body. So yeah, you should have apologized right then and there. You should have said, I'm sorry for not being there for you, and I truly apologize for my actions. But instead, you want to act selfish and pretend like, oh man, I'm not the one with the problem. But seriously, in my opinion, I absolutely think you're at fault here, because your behavior and your attitude towards your wife when she's about to give birth was completely inappropriate and so uncalled for. And if anything, you are definitely the one that needs to apologize and not her. Am I the jerk for taking the family on vacation without my wife and stepdaughter? Because now they want to stay behind just so they can go to my stepdaughter's friend's birthday party. And at this point, I'm so frustrated and I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. happened. So my stepdaughter is in high school and has a best friend that she's known since they were babies. My wife and I have 2 children together, and my stepdaughter's best friend has a birthday in December. Now, we are well aware of her birthday because we attend it every single year. This year, my side of the family planned to take a huge overseas Christmas vacation, which required us to ask the friend's mother for the party date. We planned and bought our tickets to leave 2 days after the party just so my stepdaughter wouldn't miss it. Well, Monday, my stepdaughter came home and told us that the party date was moved to accommodate some of her friends' family members who decided last minute to fly in for it. Well, here's the problem. The date was moved to one that was well after our departure date. So as you can see, this is the problem. For starters, we're not made of money, so for us to change the flight and hotel for our family will more than double the cost overall. And secondly, this will be a 2 weeks overseas trip, so I already had my vacation approved and I can't change it. If we fly out after the party, my vacation will be cut down to only a week. Also, I only get to see some of my siblings only at Christmas, so if I don't go this year, I won't see them again until next year. I mean, my entire side of the family planned our vacation around the party date months ago. My original solution was to tell her friend's parents to keep their original date since my family planned around their schedule, but my wife immediately shot down that idea. My second solution was for us to leave as planned, but change only my stepdaughter's ticket since she's on break and is old enough to fly herself. Well, my wife shot that down too, since she's also friends with the other mother and she wants to go to the party. My wife's solution is for us to just fly out after the party, but I do not like this idea at all because of the added cost and the lessening time. Our talk turned into arguments that lasted all week. Last night, my wife put her foot down and said that we're not missing the birthday party, to which I replied that she's not missing the birthday party. I told her that I'm flying out with our 2 kids as planned whether or not she's on the flight. That took our argument to the next level, to the point where my stepdaughter called me a jerk. So then I tried to ground her, at which point my wife said I couldn't because she was justified. So right now everything's a mess and I seriously don't know what to do. For starters, I don't think you're a jerk at all. The fact that your wife and your stepdaughter are saying, oh, let's just leave after the party, that in my opinion is completely missing the point. You spent a lot of money on these tickets. Why should you have to sacrifice your time all because this other family changed their date all of a sudden? Which, by the way, that was an awful thing to do. Like, the fact that they changed that, even after knowing that you scheduled your vacation around their stupid party, that in my opinion is so unbelievably toxic. Because here's the thing, I completely agree with the original poster. These tickets and plans and the hotels, they probably cost thousands of dollars. So to change them all overnight simply because these idiots changed their party date, that in my opinion is completely unreasonable. Like, in my opinion, I think your wife and stepdaughter are completely wrong, and it's time to either face the music or find some other kind of accommodations. Because at the end of the day, this is not the original poster's fault that the date changed. This is literally the other family's fault and their own selfish desires to have a different date, all because they wanted their family to fly in on a specific time and date. Like, they changed plans without consulting you first and completely screwed up everything for your plans and your vacation. So no, you are definitely not the jerk. Your wife and your stepdaughter are being unreasonable, and if they want to go to that party, then they are more than welcome to change their dates of their flights and fly out just a little bit later to go on vacation. My mom is awful with money, and it's now at the point where she is constantly asking me for money, and she only seems to treat me like an ATM that she can withdraw money from. And at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. So let me preface this by saying my mother has a heart of gold. She truly is my best friend in this world, and I would do anything for her. Now, with that in mind, I wanted to start off by saying I grew up experiencing homelessness more than once in my life. My dad was out of the picture due to him having substance issues and a criminal history. After living in and out of cars and hotel rooms, I got seriously sick of being broke. I looked at my upbringing and I said I'd never want to go through that ever again. So I got myself through school, undergrad, and now I'm about to graduate dental school to be a dentist. After a brief stint of being homeless, in 2014, which was my senior year of high school, my mom's aunt suddenly passed away. She left my mom everything she had to her name, including a home that was valued at approximately $400,000, as well as IRAs and other stocks. This drastically changed our lives. We went from counting pennies in the couch cushions to practically living like kings. The home was in a retirement community that had a minimum age to reside, and instead of keeping the house, my mom ended up selling it. She got laid off from her job and made zero effort to find a new one. She blew through all of the money, funding her expensive smoking habits of 2 packs a day, as well as buying expensive dinners and lavish Christmases. Suffice to say, we're in 2023 now, and she is flat broke. My older brother still lives with her and makes minimum wage. He too is extremely poor with money, going on random trips to random places in the United States just for fun. He has zero savings and just throws away whatever he makes for random trips and junk food. As I stated, I'm in my last year of dental school, and not many people know this, but dental school is more expensive than medical school. I mean, I stand at about $500,000 in debt as I type this. I have a $3,600 licensing exam coming up and a 1-year-old son to take care of. My husband is a foreigner from Asia, and in his country, saving is emphasized more than spending. I feel like in our American culture, spending is more emphasized than saving. His joke is that in his country, when you make money, you think, how do I save this? And Americans will think, well, how can I spend this? Obviously, this is a sweeping assumption, but this does kind of fit with the story. My husband makes decent money as an accountant, but we are definitely not wealthy at all. My husband does DoorDash to help make ends meet. He's incredible with money, and I'm so grateful to him for his patience and keeping me grounded through all of this. Now, my mom has continuously asked me for money, and I have none. I'm living on student loans, but have graciously given her money or just bought her some groceries. My mom always says that she can't wait until I'm a rich dentist that can help fund her life. My husband is fed up with her behavior, and honestly, so am I. And I finally got the courage to say no when she asked me for money. I just honestly don't know how it's going to be once I'm a dentist. I'll make decent money, but will have to live like a pauper for the first 10 years due to my high student loans. But my mom doesn't see it this way. She Googles the average salary of a dentist and thinks that I'm going to be swimming in money. She constantly says that she can't wait until I'm making good money. I'm just scared that she will see me as an ATM because having a kid is expensive, and I'd like to have at least some semblance of a chance at being a homeowner one day. Anyone that's been through something similar, how do you lay down the law? I am genuinely scared for when I start to make money. I mean, my mom is starting to sell her stuff, like her hair dryers and even her hearing aids. It makes me feel so angry and upset that she stopped working for a few years and hemorrhaged all that money with no backup plan. What should I do? Honestly, I think you just need to stick to your values and say, no, I'm not going to give you any money. Because here's the thing, it really seems like your mom is not going to get better about spending money. Like, she blew through $400,000 since 2014. Like, I don't know about you, but personally, if I had that much money in my savings account and I had that as a backup fund in some kind of way, I would have been way more careful about my money than the way your mom acted. She basically treated her bank account like an endless pit of money, and then finally, once present day runs around, she has nothing to account for, and she's still asking you for money. So it sounds like there's a spending problem that she needs to figure out on her own. So in my opinion, if I was in your shoes, I would not give her any more money. I would tell her that unfortunately she's gonna have to get a job, or she's gonna have to find some other way for assistance, because her spending habits are a massive red flag. And if you don't put your foot down now, I can guarantee you she will keep asking for the rest of your life. Am I the jerk for refusing to pay $20 for my office Christmas party that I'm not even able to attend? Here's what happened. So my office throws a Christmas party every single year, and attendees are encouraged to toss $20 to the event planning team because they don't get funds for events like this. Now, usually I do go, it's not a bad time, and there's usually Chick-fil-A as well as some raffles. But this year, however, I cannot go because I'm headed out of town that day, and I was planning to get on the road around the time that the party's gonna start. Now, this is not a secret. I planned my PTO before the party was even announced, and I told the event team that I won't be around. I mean, I didn't even wait until the last minute to tell people. Well, now they're shaming me for not paying $20 for an event that I'm not even going to be there for. They're saying that it supports the whole office and saying that some people can't pay the $20, so I'm just being greedy. Now, obviously, I'm not going to lose my job over this, but it feels pretty awful to shame someone for not wanting to pay for an office party they won't even be in town for. So honestly, am I the jerk for refusing to pay $20 for an office party that I'm not even going to be at? Because at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. No, of course not. You are definitely not the jerk. Your coworkers are being selfish, and seriously, that's where this conversation begins and ends. And it's not like they don't know you're going out of town. Like, you literally made it clear to these people you're not going to be there, and you have other plans shenanigans going on. So the fact that they would shame you for still not coughing up $20 just so they can fund their stupid party, in my opinion, is insane. Like seriously, it's probably not going to be that good of a Christmas party if your $20 is going to make or break this thing in the first place. So if I was in your shoes, I would ignore these people and just keep on going about my day, because they are clearly acting very selfish as well as completely unreasonable. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.